So after the TikTok side hustle thing, which if you missed that video, let's just say Dave learned some things the hard way, you'd think he'd take a break, maybe sit down, reflect, make a cup of tea, and think, okay, what's a sensible next step? Yeah, he did not do that. Instead, Dave went down a rabbit hole at 1 a.m. that most people have been in at least once. Andrew Tate. The money stuff specifically, not the drama, not the lifestyle flexing, the actual financial framework underneath it. Because here's the thing about Dave. He's annoying enough to look past the surface and ask, okay, but is there anything actually useful in here? Spoiler? Yes. And also, kind of no. And the story of figuring out which was which is what we're doing today. So it starts, like most things in Dave's life, with a YouTube video he probably shouldn't have watched at that hour. Tate's talking about money, and the core idea is this: stop renting your time. Most people trade hours for dollars. That's the trap. The goal is to build something that makes money when you're not working. Passive income, leverage, assets, not jobs. Dave has heard versions of this before. Rich Dad, Poor Dad said it. Every finance influencer says it, but the way Tate frames it is more aggressive, more urgent, like, you're already behind, so move. And something about that energy, annoying as it is, kind of works on Dave at 1 a.m. He grabs his phone and opens his notes app. He writes, "Stop renting time." Then he falls asleep. The next morning, Dave looks at the note and immediately feels slightly embarrassed, but the idea is still there. And instead of ignoring it like he usually does, he decides to actually do something about it. Which is step one for Dave, just not talking himself out of starting. So what does Tate actually recommend, practically? Dave digs in. There's the copywriting angle, learning to write sales copy and selling that skill. There's the e-commerce angle. There's the idea of building social media presence and monetizing attention. And then there's something Dave keeps seeing mentioned over and over, the agency model. Pick a skill, package it as a service, find clients, deliver results. Dave's been a freelance graphic designer on and off for a few years. Nothing serious, just small jobs here and there when he needed rent money. But he's never treated it like a business. He's treated it like a favor he charges for. That framing hits him a little harder than he expected. Okay, so here's where Tate's advice gets specific, and Dave actually writes it down properly this time, not at 1 a.m. The core steps, roughly: pick one skill, find a niche, reach out to people who need that skill, price it like a professional, not like someone desperate, reinvest the money. Don't spend it on things that make you feel rich, spend it on things that make you more money. Simple enough. Dave's heard simpler advice fail, but he decides to try it for 30 days. Day 1. Dave sits down and writes out what he can actually do. Graphic design, yes. Logo work, social media visuals, basic branding. He's decent, not the best in the world, not terrible. The problem has always been that he doesn't have clients. He picks a niche, local restaurants, because every restaurant has terrible Instagram graphics and every restaurant owner secretly knows it. This is a real problem he can solve. Day 2. Dave starts writing outreach messages. This is where things start to feel slightly uncomfortable, because writing a cold message to a stranger saying, "Hey, I can make you look better online," feels a lot like asking someone out. The rejection is personal. Dave writes about 8 different versions of the message and then closes his laptop and watches TV for 2 hours. That's not Tate's fault. That's just Dave. Day 3, he actually sends some messages, 15 of them, to restaurants in his city via Instagram DMs and a few emails scraped from Google. The messages are honest, not salesy. He shows examples of his work. He offers a small starter project, one social media graphic set, at a price that's real but not scary. He sends the messages and then immediately feels weird, like he did something wrong. He checks his phone every 11 minutes for the rest of the day. 3 people respond. 2 say, "No thanks." 1 says, "What exactly would this look like?" Dave calls that a win, which it is. Here's where the Tate philosophy starts getting interesting in a real practical sense, because the advice is not just go make money. The underlying thing is treat yourself like a business, which means track what you're doing, figure out what's working, stop doing what isn't, and keep showing up whether or not you feel like it. Dave is not naturally that kind of person. Dave is more of a work hard for 3 days, burn out, disappear for a week, come back with renewed energy kind of person. That cycle is comfortable for him. It is also why he hasn't made serious money yet. So the real experiment here isn't just can Dave get design clients, it's can Dave operate like a professional for 30 days straight, even on the boring days, even when nothing is happening. Day 5. One more response. A small Italian place downtown. They want a quote. Dave panics slightly and then writes a very professional-sounding email that took him 45 minutes to draft. He quotes $300 for a month of social media graphics, which is probably underpriced, but it's his first real client in a year, so they say yes. And that's where things started to feel real in a way Dave wasn't totally ready for. Because now it's not a theory anymore. He has a client, he has a deadline, he has to deliver something good. He works on the first set of graphics and honestly they're pretty solid. He knows he's capable, that was never the question. He sends them over, the owner responds within an hour, these are great, exactly what we needed. Dave sits with that for a second. It's $300 for maybe 6 hours of actual work. That's $50 an hour. That's more than his day job pays him. The Tate voice in the back of his head says, now you scale it. And here's where Dave has his first real disagreement with the philosophy. Because the advice is don't stop, keep pushing, get 10 clients, build a system, automate, grow. And Dave understands that logic, but he also notices that he's a little burned out after this one client, this 1 week, not because the work was hard, because the selling was hard, the putting himself out there was hard. And no one really talks about that part, not Tate, not the finance YouTube crowd. They talk about pushing through discomfort, which, fine, okay, fair, but there's a difference between pushing through and ignoring a signal your brain is sending you. Dave doesn't quit, but he slows down a little. He gets 2 more clients over the next 10 days instead of 10. He keeps the quality high. He makes $1,100 in the first month. $1,100 is not financial freedom, but it's also not nothing. Here's what Dave actually takes from the Tate financial framework after living inside it for a month. The parts that worked, the mindset shift around renting time versus building something. The actual decision to pick a lane and commit to it, even imperfectly. The pricing confidence, because Dave used to massively undercharge, and this time he didn't. Those things are real. The parts that didn't quite land, the intensity, the idea that you should be working every waking hour, that rest is failure, that if you're not pushing, you're falling behind. Dave tried that for about 4 days and produced worse work and felt worse about himself. That's not discipline, that's just not sleeping and calling it hustle. The honest answer is that some of the advice is legitimately good, wrapped in a package designed to make you feel like you're in a war. And if that packaging works for you, great. If it makes you spiral, you can take the core ideas and leave the rest. Dave took the core ideas. By the end of 30 days, Dave has 3 recurring clients, $1,100 made, a slightly more professional way of talking about his own work, and a Google Sheet where he tracks his income for the first time in his life. That last one is probably the most Tate-adjacent thing he actually did, and it's the thing he'll probably keep doing. He also has a new habit that's embarrassing to admit, which is that now he actually reads his own bank statements, like fully reads them, every line. Turns out he was spending $43 on an app he had completely forgotten about. Small thing, but that's kind of what this whole experiment was. Small things, done consistently, with a little more intention than before. Not dramatic, not a transformation, just movement. Now, stocks, because Dave made some money this month, and now he's asking the one question he never seriously asked before. Okay, what do I actually do with it?
That pulls him straight into the stock market, which he's treated like a casino he doesn't understand the rules of. Turns out, there are rules, and once Dave figures them out, he does something with his $1,100 that's either pretty smart or a terrible idea. Next video, you'll see which one. And if you want to follow Dave's journey, there's a button for that somewhere on this page.